Commander Emily West stood at the bridge of the UES Prometheus, her hands gripping the command rail until her knuckles turned white. On the main screen, Earth's first diplomatic vessel, the Peace Envoy, drifted through space. The small ship carried Earth's best diplomats to meet with the Galactic Council. It was supposed to be humanity's big moment, their first official contact with alien civilization. "Life support failing on the Peace Envoy," shouted David Martinez from his tactical station. "They're losing power fast." Emily's heart raced as three sleek, purple-hulled alien ships surrounded the diplomatic vessel. The Zaxari warships had appeared out of nowhere, their weapons already charged. No one had expected them to react with such hostility to a peaceful mission. "Get me a channel to those ships," Emily ordered, trying to keep her voice steady. The crew around her worked quickly, their fingers flying over control panels. Amy Parker, the communications officer, shook her head. "They're blocking all our signals, Commander. They won't even listen." The Prometheus hung back, hidden behind Earth's moon. They weren't supposed to be here. The massive battleship was Earth's secret weapon, built from technology reverse-engineered from a crashed alien ship found in the Arctic 30 years ago. Only a handful of people knew it existed. The main screen suddenly flashed bright purple. Emily watched in horror as the Zaxari ships opened fire on the Peace Envoy. The diplomatic vessel, with its 40 crew members, never stood a chance. They just murdered our diplomats," Lisa Cooper whispered from her science station. The bridge fell silent, everyone staring at the debris floating where the Peace Envoy had been moments before. A transmission cut through their communication system. A tall, purple-skinned alien appeared on screen. Its 4 eyes blinked in sequence as it spoke in perfect English. "Primitive species of Earth," the alien announced. "I am High Commander Vex of the Zaxari Empire. Your attempt to join the Galactic Council is denied. Your technology level is insufficient. Your species will now be classified as a protectorate of the Empire. Resist, and we will demonstrate true power." Emily's hands clenched into fists. The Zaxari hadn't even given them a chance. They'd murdered innocent diplomats just to make a point. "Commander," Robert Hayes called from engineering. "The quantum drive is ready. We can engage at your command." Emily took a deep breath. The Prometheus was humanity's greatest achievement, a battleship that combined Earth's innovation with advanced alien technology. They'd kept it hidden, hoping they wouldn't need it. Now she realized they'd been right to prepare for the worst. "All hands to battle stations," she ordered. Warning lights flashed throughout the massive ship as crew members rushed to their positions. "Bring the quantum shields online. Power up all weapon systems." The Prometheus hummed to life around them. On the main screen, more Zaxari ships appeared, forming a blockade around Earth. They clearly expected humanity to submit without a fight. "They're scanning the planet," Lisa reported. "Looking for military installations, probably." Emily stood straight, her decision made. "They think we're primitive. They think we're weak. They just murdered 40 of our people to prove their superiority." She looked at each of her bridge crew in turn. "Let's show them how wrong they are." "Quantum shields at full power," Robert reported from engineering. "Weapon systems charged. That alien tech we reverse engineered. It's better than anything they're showing on their ships. We've improved it." "Take us out," Emily commanded. "Nice and slow. Let them see us coming." The Prometheus emerged from behind the moon, its massive hull gleaming in the sunlight. At over 2 miles long, it dwarfed the Zaxari vessels. The alien ships immediately turned their scanners toward them, probably confused by readings they couldn't understand. "They're hailing us," Amy announced. "They want to know what we are." Emily smiled grimly. "Show them our response." The Prometheus's main weapon, a quantum lance that could tear through space itself, began to charge. The Zaxari ships scattered, suddenly realizing they weren't dealing with a primitive species after all. "Humanity tried to come in peace," Emily said quietly. "They chose war instead. Let's show them exactly what they've started." As the Prometheus moved to engage the alien fleet, Emily West knew that this moment would change everything. Humanity's first contact with alien life had gone horribly wrong. But they weren't helpless. They weren't primitive. They were humanity. And they were ready to fight. Captain Robert Hayes wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked in the Prometheus's engine room. The quantum drive hummed around him, its blue light filling the massive chamber. Above, the sound of weapons fire reminded him that they were in the middle of a battle. Status report. Commander West's voice came through his comm unit. The quantum drive is holding steady, Robert replied, checking the readings on his tablet. But we've never pushed it this hard before. We're learning as we go. Around him, his engineering team worked quickly, making adjustments to the alien technology they'd spent years studying. The crashed ship they'd found in the Arctic had been a treasure trove of advanced science, but understanding it had taken decades. Lisa Cooper rushed into the engine room, her science officer uniform slightly wrinkled from running through the ship. Robert, I need to show you something. She held up her own tablet, displaying complex energy readings. Kind of busy here, Lisa, Robert said, but he looked at her screen anyway. His eyes widened. Wait, is this right? The Zaxxeri ships, Lisa said excitedly. I've been analyzing their technology. The alien ship we found. It must have been ancient. The technology we copied from it is far more advanced than what the Zaxxeri are using now. The ship shook as another blast hit their shields. Robert grabbed a railing to steady himself. You mean? The Prometheus isn't just Earth's newest ship, Lisa finished. It might be the most advanced warship in the galaxy. We've been building on technology that's probably centuries ahead of what the Zaxxeri have. Robert turned to his engineering team. Everyone listen up. We've been playing it safe with the quantum drive, worried about pushing too hard. But our systems are more advanced than theirs. It's time to show them what this ship can really do. He opened his comm channel. Commander West, the quantum drive can handle more power. A lot more. And Lisa just discovered something you need to hear. Up on the bridge, Emily West listened as her science and engineering officers explained their finding. A smile spread across her face. So the Zaxxeri call us primitive, she said, but we've been sitting on technology they can't even understand. David, target their lead ship. Let's demonstrate what primitive humans can do. David Martins, at Tactical, grinned as he aimed the quantum lance. The weapon powered up, drawing energy directly from the advanced drive system. The Zaxxeri ships tried to scatter, but they were too slow. The quantum lance fired. A beam of pure energy, twisted through dimensions humans had only recently learned existed, shot across space. It cut through the lid Zaxxeri ship's shields like they weren't even there. The alien vessel split in half, its reactor going dark. How? Amy Parker stared at her communication screen. They're asking how we did that. They're actually scared. Robert worked furiously in engineering, pushing more power to their weapons and shields. The alien technology responded better than he'd ever hoped. It was like the ship had been waiting for this moment, waiting to show what it could really do. Multiple Zaxxeri ships approaching, David reported from Tactical. They're trying to surround us. Let them try, Emily commanded. Robert, give us everything you can from that quantum drive. Lisa, keep analyzing their ships. Find their weaknesses. The Prometheus moved through space with impossible grace for a ship its size. The quantum drive didn't just power their weapons. It let them bend space itself. While the Zaxxeri ships pushed their engines to conventional limits, the Prometheus simply stepped through space, appearing where they least expected. Their weapons can't lock onto us, Lisa reported excitedly. The quantum field around our ship is confusing their targeting systems. They've never seen anything like this. In engineering, Robert watched his readings with pride. The ship they'd built in secret, combining human innovation with advanced alien tech, was proving itself better than anyone had dreamed. The Zaxxeri had thought Earth was easy prey. Instead, they'd awakened a sleeping giant. All stations report ready. Emily's voice rang through the ship. The Zaxxeri wanted to see what humans are capable of. Let's give them a demonstration they'll never forget. The Prometheus charged forward, its quantum drive singing with power, ready to show the galaxy that humanity was far more than just another primitive species to be conquered. They were innovators, adapters, and now they were about to become legends. David Martinez stood at his tactical station on the Prometheus's bridge, watching as 30 Zaxxeri ships formed a blockade around Earth. Their purple hulls glowed against the blackness of space, their weapons charged and ready. They're demanding our surrender, Amy Parker reported from communications. Again. Commander Emily West sat in her command chair, calm despite the odds against them. Send them our usual response. Amy smiled as she pressed a button. Silence. The humans had stopped responding to Zaxxeri threats hours ago. It drove the aliens crazy. Target the biggest ship in their formation, Emily ordered. David, show them that new trick you worked out. David's fingers flew over his console. He had spent years playing video games before joining the military. Now those gaming skills were helping him think in ways the aliens never expected. Quantum lens charge, he reported. But I'm not aiming at their ship. I'm targeting the space around it. The Prometheus's main weapon fired. But instead of hitting the Zaxxeri vessel directly, the beam split into 4 parts, bending through space to hit it from different angles at once. The alien ship's shields collapsed instantly. How? Lisa Cooper stared at her science readings. David, did you just make our weapon bend through quantum space? David grinned. If we can bend space to move our ship, why not bend our weapons too? The aliens never thought of that. 3 more Zaxxeri ships moved to fill the gap in their blockade. But the Prometheus was already moving, its quantum drive letting it dance through space in ways that should have been impossible. Multiple ships watching from the edge of the system, Amy reported. Not Zaxxeri. Looks like other alien species are coming to see the fight. Emily nodded. Let them watch. The Zaxxeri have bullied every species in this part of space. Time they saw someone stand up to them. The battle continued. David kept coming up with new ways to use their weapons. He made quantum torpedoes phase through shields. He bent laser beams around planets to hit ships hiding behind them. Each trick worked exactly once before the Zaxxeri adapted, but David always had another idea ready. Commander, Lisa called out. Those alien observers, they're sending signals back to their homeworlds. This battle is being watched across the galaxy. Robert Hayes's voice came up from engineering. Quantum drive still running perfectly. Whatever you need up there, we can deliver. The Zaxxeri tried to adapt. They changed formations, adjusted their shields, fired from new angles. But they were fighting with normal space tactics against a ship that didn't obey the normal rules of space. Their fleet commander is requesting to speak, Amy said suddenly. Actually requesting, not demanding. Emily straightened in her chair. Put them on screen. The Zaxxeri commander appeared, all 4 eyes blinking rapidly. How are you doing this? Your species was classified as primitive. This technology, it's impossible. Impossible. Emily smiled. Humans specialize in impossible. You could have talked to us peacefully. Instead, you chose war. How's that working out? The alien's purple skin darkened with anger. You cannot defeat the entire Zaxxeri Empire. Watch us, Emily said, and signaled Amy to cut the connection. David's next attack split the Zaxxeri fleet in half. Ships scattered, their formation broken. The mighty blockade was falling apart. More observer ships arriving, Lisa reported. Some from species I don't recognize. They're all watching, waiting. Then let's give them something worth seeing, Emily said. David, target their command ship. Full power to the quantum lance. Show the galaxy what happens when you pick a fight with Earth. The Prometheus's main weapon charged up, glowing with energy that bent the space around it. David's new targeting method made the beam twist through 5 different dimensions before hitting the Zaxxeri command ship. The alien vessel didn't just explode. It broke apart piece by piece, as if space itself was pulling it apart. The remaining Zaxxari ships began to retreat, not in an organized way, but running in panic. The species that had called humans primitive was fleeing from a single Earth ship. Incoming messages, Amy said, her eyes wide. From the observer ships. They want to talk. To us. They're asking if Earth would be interested in forming alliances. Emily looked at her crew, David at Tactical, Lisa at Science, Amy at Communications, and thought of Robert down in Engineering. Humans who had taken alien technology and improved it in ways its creators never imagined. Tell them, she said, that Earth is always interested in making new friends. As long as they remember, we come in peace, but we're ready for war. The Prometheus hung in space, its quantum drive humming quietly, while across the galaxy, news spread of how a single human ship had broken the Zaxxari blockade and changed everything. Commander Emily West sat in her ready room, staring at the alien face on her screen. The being had gray skin, large silver eyes, and looked nothing like the purple-skinned Zaxxari. This was her third meeting today with a different alien species. We are the Nixari, the alien said in careful English. For 50 years, we have lived under Zaxxari control. But now we see hope. Intelligence Officer Karen Smith stood beside Emily's desk, taking notes. She had spent the last few hours sorting through messages from various alien civilizations. All of them wanted the same thing: freedom from the Zaxxari Empire. Tell me more about your people, Emily said kindly. The Zaxxari took our colonies, stole our resources, forced us to build their ships, the Nixari leader explained. We are not the only ones. Dozens of species suffer under their rule. But none of us had weapons that could fight them, until we saw your ship. A knock on the door interrupted them. Amy Parker rushed in, holding a datapad. Sorry, Commander, but you need to see this. We're getting signals from all over the galaxy. More species are reaching out. They all want to help. Emily looked at the data. 20 different alien civilizations had already offered to join Earth in fighting the Zaxxari. Some had ships. Others had resources. All of them had waited years for a chance like this. The Prometheus isn't just a warship anymore, Karen said quietly. It's become a symbol. Every species that the Zaxxari bullied or conquered sees us as hope. The Nixari leader spoke again. Your ship, the Prometheus. In our ancient stories, Nyx was the goddess of night. Like her, you came from the darkness and changed everything. We would be proud to fight beside you. Emily stood up and walked to her window. She could see Earth below, beautiful and blue. When they'd built the Prometheus, they'd thought only about protecting their home. Now they had a chance to help others protect theirs. We'll need to organize, she said. Karen, start working with each species. Find out what they can offer. Amy, keep those communications channels open. We need to coordinate with everyone. The ship's intercom beeped. Commander, Lisa Cooper's voice came through. The Nixari ship designs. They're amazing. Their engineers were forced to build Zaxxari vessels, but they kept their own designs secret. If we combine their ideas with our quantum drive technology, we could build more ships like the Prometheus, Emily finished. But better. The Nixari leader's silver eyes shined. We have hidden shipyards. The Zaxxari never found them. They are yours to use. More messages kept coming in. A species called the Centauri offered their advanced shield technology. The Vega Union had secret weapon designs. The Arcturus Collective knew all the Zaxxari patrol routes and weak points. The Zaxxari didn't just make enemies, Karen reported, reading through the data. They created an army. All these species were waiting for someone to lead them. Emily turned back to the screen. Tell your people to get those shipyards ready, and tell every species that wants to fight. Earth stands with you. The Zaxxari Empire is about to learn a hard lesson about making too many enemies. The Nixari leader bowed. We will not fail you, Commander West. The Zaxxeri called humanity primitive, but you have shown more wisdom than they have in centuries. You fight not just for yourselves, but for others. After the transmission ended, Emily looked at her officers. I want every willing species to send representatives to Earth. It's time to turn these separate resistance movements into one united force. What should we call this alliance? Amy asked. Emily smiled. Let's let them decide. This isn't just humanity's fight anymore. We're all in this together. The Prometheus had started its journey as Earth's secret weapon. Now it was becoming something more. A beacon of hope for countless civilizations. As Emily watched more alien ships gather near Earth, she knew that the galaxy would never be the same. The Zaxxeri had tried to keep other species weak by keeping them apart. Instead, they had created a powder keg of resistance. All it needed was a spark. The Prometheus and humanity had provided that spark. And now the fire of rebellion was spreading across the stars. Red alert sirens blared through the Prometheus as lead engineer Brian Wilson ran final checks on the enhanced shield system. They needed every advantage they could get. Supreme Admiral Core, the Zaxxeri Empire's most feared commander, was coming with 50 of their best ships. Shield modifications complete, Brian reported to the bridge. I used basic Earth physics, something the aliens never thought about. Their weapons create energy waves, so I tuned our shields to act like noise-canceling headphones. Commander Emily West nodded from her command chair. In simple terms, their shots should cancel themselves out when they hit us, Brian explained, at least until they figure out what we did. The battle space near Alpha Centauri was quiet. Earth had chosen this location carefully. It was far enough from populated systems to avoid civilian casualties, but close enough to show any watching species what was about to happen. Zaxxeri fleet dropping out of faster-than-light travel, Lisa Cooper announced from her science station. The main screen filled with warships. Their purple hulls seemed to glow with menace. Message from Supreme Admiral Core, Amy Parker said from communications. A tall Zaxxeri appeared on screen. Unlike other Zaxxeri they'd seen, Core had scars across his purple skin. All 4 of his eyes focused on Emily. Commander West, he said, his voice deep. You have caused the Empire much trouble. Surrender now, and your crew will live as slaves. Fight, and none will survive. Emily stood up. You know, Admiral, every Zaxxeri we've met has threatened us. How has that worked out so far? Core's eyes narrowed. You face the Empire's best fleet. Your one ship cannot stand against 50 of ours. Watch us, Emily said, and signaled Amy to cut the connection. The Zaxxeri ships moved into attack formation. It was beautiful, in a deadly way. 50 ships moving as one, led by a commander with centuries of experience. Brian, Emily called over the comm. How long will those shield modifications last? Maybe 10 minutes before they adapt, he replied. Make them count. David, target their lead ships, Emily ordered. Lisa, track their adaptation patterns. Amy, keep our allies updated. Everyone ready. Her crew responded with confident yes signals. They had faced impossible odds before. This was just a bigger version of impossible. The first Zaxxeri shots hit their shields. Just as Brian had predicted, the energy waves canceled each other out. The massive alien fleet's opening attack did nothing. They're confused, Lisa reported, watching her sensors. Their weapons should have at least caused damage. They're recalibrating. David Martinez fired the quantum lance, using his trick of bending shots through space. 3 Zaxxeri ships fell before they could adapt. But Core was smarter than previous commanders. His fleet split into smaller groups, making it harder to hit multiple ships at once. 7 minutes until they cracked the shield modification, Brian warned. Emily watched the battle unfold. Core was good. Each time David used a trick, the Admiral adapted his fleet's tactics. It was like playing chess with someone who had centuries of experience. But the Prometheus had something Core didn't expect. a crew that thought differently than anyone in the galaxy. "Lisa," Emily called. "Remember how we used the quantum drive to move through space? Could we use it to move space itself?" Lisa's eyes widened. "Move space? Yes. We could create a quantum fold, like a space whirlpool." "Brian, give Lisa whatever power she needs," Emily ordered. "David, keep them busy. Make Core think he's winning." The Prometheus took hits as its shields weakened, but while the Zaxxeri thought they were winning, Lisa and Brian worked on something new, something impossible. "Ready," Lisa finally reported, "but we only have enough power for one try." Emily smiled. "Target the center of their fleet. Let's show Admiral Core why you don't underestimate humans." The Prometheus's quantum drive spun up to full power. Space itself began to twist. At first, the Zaxxeri didn't notice. Then their ships started to drift. "Now," Emily commanded. A massive whirlpool of twisted space formed in the middle of the Zaxxeri fleet. Ships were pulled together, their hulls crashing into each other. Core tried to order his fleet to escape, but space itself was against them. When it was over, 30 Zaxxeri ships were destroyed. The others retreated, their formations broken. Supreme Admiral Core had been defeated by a single Earth ship. "Message from the Admiral," Amy reported with a grin. Core appeared on screen again. This time, all 4 eyes showed something new: respect. "Perhaps," he said quietly, "we were wrong about humans being primitive." The Prometheus had won again, not just through technology, but through the human ability to think in new ways. Across the galaxy, the news spread. The best fleet of the Zaxxeri Empire had met humanity in battle, and humanity had won. Amy Parker hadn't slept in 20 hours, but she couldn't stop smiling. As communications officer of the Prometheus, she was at the center of something amazing. Messages poured in from across 20 star systems. Everywhere, enslaved species were rising up against the Zaxxeri Empire. "The Nixeri have taken back their home planet," she reported to Commander West. The Zaxxeri didn't expect an attack from their own slave workers. 3 more shipyards are now under rebel control. Emily West stood behind her chair, watching the tactical display. Across the galaxy, red dots showing Zaxxeri control were turning green as planets broke free. "The Centauri fleet has joined us," David Martinez added from Tactical. "They brought those shield designs they promised. Brian says he can make them even better." Lisa Cooper rushed onto the bridge, holding her tablet. "Commander, the Arcturus Collective just sent us the access codes to the Zaxxeri Defense Network. They've been gathering them for years, waiting for a chance like this." Emily watched as more reports came in. The Prometheus had started something bigger than anyone had expected. Every species that the Zaxxeri had pushed down was standing up. "Message from the Vega Union," Amy called out. "They've taken control of 3 Zaxxeri weapon factories. The Empire's forces are spread too thin. They can't stop all the rebellions at once." The main screen showed various battles across the galaxy. Some rebel ships were old and barely flying. Others were Zaxxeri vessels, stolen by their own crews. All of them fought with the desperate courage of people who had waited generations for this chance. "The Zaxxeri Empire is falling," Karen Smith said, walking onto the bridge with new intelligence reports. "Their own arrogance killed them. They thought keeping species separate would keep them weak. Instead, every species developed their own ways to fight back. Now they're all working together." Emily watched as a Nixeri fleet joined with Centauri ships to free another system. The rebels weren't just fighting. They were helping each other, sharing resources and knowledge the Zaxxeri had tried to keep from them. "Incoming message from the Galactic Council," Amy reported. "They want to talk." The same council members who had ignored Earth's peaceful mission now appeared on screen. They looked nervous. Commander West, the head counselor, said, "We may have been hasty in our judgment of humanity. Perhaps we could discuss." "Stop," Emily said firmly. "You watched the Zaxxeri Empire enslave dozens of species. You did nothing. Now that they're losing, you want to talk. Save it for the new alliance we're building. They'll decide if they want you involved." After she cut the transmission, cheers broke out on the bridge. The mighty Galactic Council was now asking them for help. "New reports coming in," Amy said excitedly. "The Zaxxari Empire is retreating from 15 more systems. Their fleet commanders are surrendering rather than fight." Robert Hayes called up from engineering. "Commander, the Nixari engineers just arrived. Wait until you see what they think we can do with the quantum drive. And the Centauri shield experts have some ideas that even Brian says are brilliant." Emily looked at her crew. They had started this journey to protect Earth. Now they were helping to free the galaxy. The Prometheus wasn't just a ship anymore. It was a symbol of hope for countless beings. "Message from the Rebel Coalition," Amy reported. "They're calling for a meeting of all freed species. They want to form a new alliance. And they want Earth to help lead it." Lisa checked her sensors. "More ships arriving. Looks like representatives from every species that broke free. They want to meet here, at the Prometheus." Emily thought about how this had all started. The Zaxxari had attacked Earth's diplomatic mission, thinking humans were too primitive to matter. That one act of arrogance had started a chain reaction that brought down their empire. "Tell them we'll be honored to host the meeting," she said. "The galaxy is changing. It's time to build something better." As she watched more ships gather around the Prometheus, Emily remembered her history lessons. Earth had seen empires rise and fall. They had learned that the strongest alliances were built on respect and cooperation, not fear and control. Now they would help teach that lesson to the stars. The revolution wasn't won with just weapons and ships. It was won because the Prometheus showed the galaxy something it had forgotten. That hope was stronger than fear, and that unity was stronger than control. A new age was beginning. And this time, all species would face it together. The Zaxxari homeworld hung in space like a purple jewel. Around it, the last fleet of the once mighty empire prepared for their final stand. Supreme Admiral Core had called back every remaining ship to defend their capital. Commander Emily West stood on the Prometheus's bridge, but she wasn't alone anymore. On nearby ships, allies from 20 different species waited for her signal. The Nixari with their advanced sensors, the Centauri with their powerful shields, the Vega Union with their precise weapons, all of them had united under one banner. "The Emperor is asking to speak," Amy Parker reported from her communication station. "It's the first time any Emperor has directly contacted another species." "Put him on screen," Emily ordered. The Zaxxari Emperor appeared. His purple skin was darker than other Zaxxari, and he wore gleaming armor. All 4 of his eyes showed anger and fear. "So," he said, "this is the primitive species that destroyed my empire." "You destroyed your own empire," Emily replied calmly. "You thought keeping others down would make you strong. Instead, it gave everyone a reason to fight you. And now you'll destroy us." The Emperor asked, "Prove you're just as cruel as you claim we are." Emily smiled. "No, that's the difference between us. We're offering you peace." The Emperor blinked all 4 eyes in surprise. Behind Emily, representatives from different species stepped into view of the screen. "Your empire is finished," Emily continued. "But your people don't have to suffer. Join the new Galactic Alliance as equals. Share your knowledge instead of hoarding it. Help build something better than an empire." "You would trust us?" the Emperor asked. "After everything." A Nixari representative stepped forward. "We remember when the Zaxxari were different, before the Empire made you forget how to trust, how to cooperate, how to grow." "Last chance," Emily said. "Surrender and join us, or we'll be forced to take your capital by force, and we all know how that will end." The Emperor looked at the fleet facing him. The Prometheus led the Alliance ships, its quantum drive humming with power. Behind it were vessels of every design, crews of every species, all united. "Perhaps," the Emperor said slowly, "it is time for change." One by one, The Zaxxeri ships powered down their weapons. The empire that had ruled through fear for centuries surrendered not to force, but to the offer of peace. Hours later, Emily stood in the Prometheus's main hall. Representatives from every species, including the Zaxxeri, gathered to sign the charter of the new Galactic Alliance. "To think," Lisa Cooper said, watching from beside her. "This all started because they wouldn't let Earth join their council. They thought we were primitive because we were young," Karen Smith added. "They didn't realize that being young meant we could think in new ways." The signing ceremony began. Each species added their mark to the charter, agreeing to share knowledge, respect rights, and defend each other. The Zaxxeri Emperor signed last, officially ending his empire and joining the alliance as equals. "Message from Earth," Amy said quietly to Emily. "They're asking what happened to the Prometheus's original mission, making first contact." Emily laughed. "Tell them we did make contact. We just did it our way." Brian Wilson joined them, holding a tablet showing new designs. "The Nyxeri and Centauri engineers want to start work on new ships tomorrow, combining everybody's technology. The things we're going to build together." Supreme Admiral Core approached their group. The old warrior looked different now, more relaxed. "Commander West, my people have much to learn about peace. Will you help us?" "That's what allies do," Emily replied. "Help each other." As the ceremony ended, Emily looked around the hall. Humans talked with Nyxari about engineering. Centauri discussed shield designs with Zaxxeri. Former enemies were becoming friends. The Prometheus had started its journey as Earth's defender. Now it would be remembered as the ship that united the galaxy. Not through force, but through humanity's greatest strength, the ability to offer peace even to enemies, and the wisdom to build bridges instead of walls. Commander David Martinez called from across the hall. "They want to take a picture, all species together, with the Prometheus in the background." Emily joined the gathering. Humans stood with aliens of all shapes and sizes, all equal, all united. Behind them, through the hall's giant windows, the Prometheus floated in space, its hull gleaming in starlight. A new age had begun, and it started because humanity had chosen to reach for the stars not with closed fists, but with open hands. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what it needed.